What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another video stream. Today I'm going to be showing you end to end on how to make your very own 7 Days to Die server. This is going to be using FrontRunnerTek Server Manager, and we're going to be going from the start to the finish, getting your server up and running and configured, and I'll be showing you a few cool things along the way. So, for the purposes of this demonstration, this is one take. There's going to be no editing on this at all, so bear with me if I make mistakes. I have a Windows 7 box that I have got on remote desktop here. So this is going to be my server. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is get on whatever machine that it is, and you want to go to Games and then Tools, and you want to download the 7 Days to Die dedicated server. Right click, install. Choose when you want to install it. You know the deal, you've installed Steam games before. Right, so while that's downloading, we're going to have to get ourselves some tools. The first tool we want to get is a tool called Putty. So, easiest way to do it is get yourself to Google, type in Putty. There we go, Putty. Click on downloads. Download Putty for Windows. And it's downloaded. So, there it is there. Lovely jubbly. The next thing we want to do is we want to get our server manager. So in order to do that, we head over to the 7 Days to Die website. We shall get ourselves on the forums, head ourselves to the multiplayer section. 7 Days to Die server manager by FrontRunnerTek. For downloads, go here, which takes us to his website. 7 Days to Die server manager has moved to its own page. Click here. This is worth it, believe me. Click jump to downloads, and then we can download the latest version, and that shall download. So, now we've got three things. We've got the 7 Days to Die dedicated server, we have Putty, and we have FrontRunnerTek server manager. So, first thing we want to do is install FrontRunnerTek server manager. Press next, install it. Actually, I'm just going to delete the folder that's there so you guys can see what it looks like from me doing it. Clean installation. So I'm just going to say, yeah, install it there. I've deleted it now. So, we have it installed. So there it is there, server manager. And do we have dedicated server installed? We've now got dedicated server installed. So what you want to do is you want to navigate to your dedicated server folder. So say program files x86, Steam apps, commons, 7 Days to Die dedicated server. And then inside of here, you'll see a bunch of files. The first one you want to do is double click on install 64-bit because we want the 64-bit version of the software. The next thing you want to do is you want to right click on start dedicated and click on edit. Now where this says tools bin putty, you want to get rid of the tools and the bin and the /, so it just says putty. And then do that for the line in front of it as well. And then just press file and save. This makes it quite easy for us because it means we can just drop putty into this folder. So we have this folder here. I'm just going to minimize this for now. And we're going to go to our downloads folder where we just downloaded putty from, and we're going to drag putty straight into the 7 Days to Die dedicated folder. So now when we run start dedicated, it should detect in 654 however many seconds that we've got putty, and it should start the dedicated server and connect to it. Please enter password. Now, if you right click on server config and click on edit, you can see that the default password for telnet is change me in capital letters. So we can type in change me and log in successful. There we go. That's it. You've now got a dedicated server that is running and you're connected to it. Pretty cool, huh? If you right click and go onto Task Manager, you can see 7 days to die, there it is, your server is up and running. Now, that is how you start off a dedicated server. I've just shown you that in a couple of minutes. But we want all the nice features, and this is where the Server Manager tool comes in. So, just for now, we're going to click on here, click End Process. Yeah, that's okay. Close all this down. We'll keep the server config open just to set a couple of basic things. We're going to keep it on Naves game. Yes, Alpha 9 has been released and it does support random gen and all that fancy stuff. But at the minute, we're just going to put it on Naves game. We are going to call this. We're going to call it YouTube. YouTube. We're going to make a game called YouTube. Difficulties 2. No, we don't really need to change too much. We'll change control panel enabled to true, because there's two different kinds of control panel, you see. There's a web-based control panel and there's a telnet control panel. But I like to have both of them enabled. It's entirely up to you. And the rest of this stuff is just random shite. We'll mess on with that later in the control panel. So click File and Save. And that is our server config saved. If we start dedicated again, what that'll do is that'll generate the map and it'll generate the world. So we'll just quickly let it start and then we'll stop it again. Please enter password. Oops. Change me. Login successful. Wonderful. We're good to go. So that means the server started, the world's been created, and all is good. So now that the world's been created, that means the save game for this has been created. So the default location for this is in Documents, 7 Days to Die, Saves. And then whichever world, now we've got Naves Gain and there's Random Gen at the minute. We've just made an instance of Naves Gain and it's called YouTube. So here's where our save game is for everything that's just for the game that's going, really. So what we can do now is we can go to All Programs, FrontRunnerTek, and we can launch the 7 Days to Die Server Manager. I would advise running this as administrator, and if you experience any difficulties or anything like that, then yeah, make sure it's running in administrator. So we've just opened it up for the first time. We've got your language is not locally available, or an update is available. Would you like to download it? Yes. So we download the language pack, which it does very nicely because this is awesome. And yeah, so we're good to go. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of scary to begin with, but once we have set a little bit of settings, all will be good. The first thing you want to do is go to Configuration. Now in Configuration, we need to set these 4. So the first one is Game Folder. So that'll be your Steam, your program files x86, Steam Apps, Common, 7 Days to Die, dedicated server. Now, as I'm lazy, I've already got a shortcut to this on the desktop. I'm just going to go, yay, copy, game folder, oh, bollocks, no, I'll just paste it into there. Now, game world folder is where we were just looking at before with the save game. So, let's find our save game. Our save game was in Documents, My Documents, 7 Days to Die, Saves, Naves game, and we called it YouTube. Server XML path is in the 7 Days to Die dedicated server folder under server config. And the 7 Days to Die exe path is in the same place. So we've just hooked up a large amount of the game to the configuration utility here. Click on configuration 2. Have a quick look around here. Server admin XML path. We click browse, and it's just in exactly the same place. Double click on that. So now we've set that as well. And I think that's just about good to go. Now, second. Just want to check on the start dedicated. If you right click and have a look, you can see what port you're going to be using. Now this is using localhost 8081. 8081. So that's all good. So in our server manager, we need to go, we're going to be using Telnet because it uses the putty. We're going to go host port is 8081 and our password is change me, which of course we will because we're not idiots and we're not going to leave it there. So now that we've just got this hooked up, you close your eyes, you cross your fingers, and you press start server. That was some good timing. You're fucked, basically, says girlfriend. Yeah, so the server started and we have connected. We have a little green light down here which confirms it. And we can go to Task Manager and we can see that it is running. This is fucking wonderful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to test this internally. And what I mean by that is that this is my Windows 7 server, which is sitting under my desk that I'm remoting into. And this outside here is my gaming PC. So we should be able to fire up 7 Days to Die. So we load up our 7 Days to Die. And we're going to get this show on the road. Now, we are at a stage where we need our IP address. So, we open up our server and we want our local IP address. Now, this isn't 127.0.0.1. Don't type that. What that means is that is the address that the computer uses to talk to itself. So, if on my PC, which is outside of the server, if I type that in, the server would talk. My PC would talk to itself and not the server. So, what we want to do is we want to go on the server. We want to type in ipconfig. Actually, what might be helpful is if we opened a command prompt window and then typed in ipconfig, and we'll have a look in here. So, we have our IP address, which is 192.168.1.106. So, my PC, when we click connect to server, we want to type in here 192.168.1.106. They're missing a dot in there. When we press start, holy shit. Holy shit. And we can see what's happening in the background. We can see that a player has connected, which is indeed me. And that is how you set up a server. And that is how you get people on your server. But that's all well and good, but how do you get your friends on the server? How do you get random people on the server? And how do you do cool things with the server? Well, what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to fly up in the air so I don't get ripped by any zombies. And I'm going to type in DM, which brings up... Oh, I don't have debug mode access on here. See? God damn it. Cheat mode's on though. At least that's something. See, this is Alpha 9 with the wonderful new interface and all the rest of it. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to a server and just leave this running in the background. We're going to try some of the cool stuff of FrontRunnerTek Server Manager. So I'm just going to move this over here, just so you guys can see what's happening. And now that we're, as you can see, we're connected to the server, and you can see Big C90210 is in here. We're going to have some fun. So if you click on the player, we'll go through these tabs one at a time. So on the player tab, you can see various players. You can see the Steam ID, which is very important for kicking and banning players. You can do stuff like see if they're online, see if they're allowed to be on the server. Map color, we'll get to that one in a minute. Reserved, so just make this a little bit wider. We know what's happening over here. We know how the zombies roll. Put up there, in fact. Bring this down here. So yeah, so we can actually reserve slots for this particular player if we want to do by ticking this box. So yeah, lots of good information here. Now in this tab we have mapping. And what happens is, as the player moves around the map, we get a real-time, I can't stress this enough, we get a real-time map drawn of where that player is. Yeah, so at the minute, you can see that this player is here. So if we jump back into game and we start running around, I'm going a bit fast, yeah, but say we were walking around, there we go. And what happens is, over time, you can see the server manager makes a rather cool map of all the different places that I've been to throughout the day. Which is also handy as well if people are cheating on your server and exploiting and stuff like that. It means you can see what the little bastards are up to. So, this is what player mapping is. There are multiple options for player mapping, such as being able to export the maps to a web page and stuff like that. And I don't think it's ready at the minute, but I know FrontRunnerTek is working on a way of getting random gen into here. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll show you a Naves game, and you can see that it's awesome. So, next up we've got game options, which you've got things like airdrop frequency and spawn delays and things like that. But let's have a look at some of the more interesting things. So we need to give the server a name. So we'll call it Big C's Crackdown. Leave the port as what it is. Server is public true or false, it's up to you. Horde mode and survival mode, is it creative, is it PvP? Yes, we like PvP, various things about time, loot abundance, respawn delays, drop on death. I don't have to explain this to you, you know, you can read. So on game options level 2, we've got the dynamic spawn levels here. So it means the more players on the server, the more zombies you have. The small amount of players, the least amount of zombies you have. Also, you can put extra events in. You see over here you have events, and these events happen every certain amount of times. So we can say, yes, we'll have a random airdrop spawner every 15 minutes. And then I didn't actually click that there, by the way. If I did click that, you will see that in game you get an airdrop. But as I've turned that on now, you see this timer's counting down. Now, we can have a random wandering horde every 15 minutes. So, now that I've turned that on, start moving, you bastard. Ah, there we go. It started working now. And if we wanted to, we could left click and spawn one. Now, seeing as I'm the only person on the server, it should spawn near me somewhere. Aha. Here it comes. So, yeah. So these events, you can just have them cycling if you want them on, or if you want them off. You can choose how many slots and stuff like that you want. Next up, we have region resets. So, what a region reset is that whenever you search something in 7 Days to Die, if you search a car or you search a... God, look at all these. If you search a car, or say if you search this refrigerator, this skinned rabbit, like this container will regenerate itself. This loot container will regenerate itself every X amount of days. Which we defined in game options, loot respawn days. Now what a region reset is that, say as an example, I blew this building to pieces, this building isn't magically going to respawn. But if we press M on the map, we can't actually see where we are very well, but I think we're over here somewhere. we can set this coordinate to not reset, and we can reset the rest of the map every X amount of days. So to save your map from getting completely destroyed and then no one playing on it, you can say, okay, after 7 days, this area here will magically regenerate itself, so you've got new stuff to search and blow up and shit like that. So that's what the purpose of this is. It takes a little bit of playing around, but that's what it's for. So next up, we've got the configuration page. Some extra stuff in here. You can write the stats to the CSV file, so you can just keep a log of what's going on. You can write that every 5 minutes. You can change your language if you want to be adventurous and do stuff in a different language and be Danger Mouse. You can choose the amount of RAM that the Windows process uses. Crash detection, I think, just keeps an eye on the process for responding and stopping responding. You can have it auto restart. Configuration 2, you can find out what a player's Steam ID is. So if you click on a player, you can see it's Big C90210. Normally what you would have to do, but actually FrontRunnerTek's actually now got this here, whereas what you used to have to do was you'd have to copy that. You'd have to copy that into here, and just as an example, you would go Big C90210. You would have to. You have to put that into Google, and then there you go, and then it gives you your Steam ID, and it's the Steam 64 ID that you use for banning players from games. But yeah, like I say, FrontRunnerTek's made this very easy now. So you've got things like disable auto scroll for console, enable debug log into file. Maintenance mode, not bad if you want to turn the server off. You can give people a warning time of 1 minute. So if you tick that box, you press set. There you go. You can see it in the background there. Server's going down for maintenance. Please try again in a few minutes. 59 seconds, 58, 57, and it counts all the way down. And then the server will turn itself off. Configuration 3 is your blacklist of people who you've banned. FTP allows you to remotely control other servers. So at the minute, I don't really need this because I'm running the server from a PC. But if, say, you were remote controlling a server that was remotely hosted, then you would use this. Backup and restore. You use this for creating your backups in an automated fashion. Now, what you really want for this is 7ZA, which is 7-zip archiver. So what you would do is you would open up this 7ZA.exe, ZA.exe, download it from SourceForge. Download will start in 3, 2, 1. Get that downloaded. And you would extract that to the 7 Days to Die folder. So you would say browse, and then you would locate it. Then 7 Days to Die. So yep, we've just put this here, 7ZA. And then all this means is, it means that when you're backing it up, whenever you back up your server, it zips it for you. And where do you want to put them? So we're going to put these in a folder called My Documents, called 7 Days to Die Server Backups. And then we're going to make a folder called YouTube Demo. So what we've just said is we're going to have the server back up once an hour. We're going to zip it using this tool. We're going to put the backups in this folder. Local backups means you're saving on this PC. FTP backups means you FTP to another computer. So if you wanted to send your backup to a different server or something like that, then you can do that. Compression level, you can turn compression up, but I would probably recommend leaving it on normal. And you can even send a message to the players, because sometimes making backups of your servers causes a bit of lag for a few seconds while it's compressing the files up. So at least you can send the players a message saying, yo guys, I'm saving the server. Expect it to be a little juddery for a few seconds while the map saves. We've got restore from backup here, which allows you to, you'd have to note you must stop the server first. So you'd stop the server, you would pick one of your backups from this list, and then you could revert to that backup. So if you've got some hackers or cheaters, which are a bit of a problem in 7 Days to Die PvP public, then you might need to restore from a backup. Next up, you've got server messages. So you can type in any message here. You can type in a message saying you are a cow, and then you can say send now. Oh, no, we've got one saying you. We don't really have you are a cow. You. Wow. Let's try that again. Nope. Why isn't that working? Ah. Yeah, right. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. It's a scrolling bug on the current alpha. So you can have one message per server line. You can have rolling messages, so you can say stuff like, please be nice, don't be an arse. So every minute you will have a message that pops up on the server. First it'll say please be nice, then it'll say don't be an arse, and then it'll scroll back to the top and rinse and repeat. You can add colour to any of your messages by clicking on here and then choosing from the palette. So you can say red, and then you can say don't be an arse. So if you then copy this message and replace this one, rather than having it roll in, we'll just type it in so you can see it. So we can say send, don't be an arse. And then people can see it. Stands out better. Also, you got message of the day. This is the message that people see when they first log on, just like any other game server. Global ban list. We'll get to this in a minute, but this is a very, very nice piece of kit. Vote and reward. I've never actually used this feature before, but I know it allows you to vote on certain things in game, so I don't really know what you could vote on in 7 Days to Die, but people are bound to think of something. Chat log enables you to save the chat log, so it means that when players are arguing in game and they're going, hey, you're a douche, it's actually saved, so for server admins at least you can see what's happening. Goodies, you can give people random goodies if you want to do so. Say if you had a paid membership server, if you had perks or something like that, then you can dish out those. Email, this is rather cool. You can set up emails. So if you could say set up smtp dot with smtp.outlook.com to email. We'll send it to Big C 90210 at gmail.com. Username is with there. It's Big C 90210 at and the email subject is test. I want to quickly check what Outlook.com yeah, so I'm just having a quick look here at what Outlook's SMTP settings are. So smtp.live.com, I see. Got that one wrong. Your full Outlook.com email address, so that's what mine is. Your Outlook.com password, port is 587. We can send a test email. Oh, test email sent. That's strange. Failure to send mail. Failure to send mail. I'm gonna quickly check my email. But yeah, I have actually had this working before. It takes a little bit of dicking around to get working, but when it works, it's quite cool. You just need to put in the correct SMTP details, and then what it means is that every time somebody, whether your server starts or it stops or it crashes, you can get an email. Which, if like me, if you get email straight through to your cell phone, that's pretty handy. Next up, we have slash commands. So you can say enable rules. So if someone types rules, you can say play nice PvP no mercy. Or if someone types slash rules in game, there we go. Play nice PvP no mercy. Enable info slash help's exactly the same thing, so you can type whatever message they want to see in what you want them to see when they type slash info or help in here. There's a vote ban feature, or there's a kick instead of ban. I'm guessing you could use the vote and reward thing to reward people who act as kind of like a judge and jury. Enable custom slash commands, so you can say custom slash command pants, and the response would be you are wearing ladies underwear. So in game you can type slash pants and it says you wear ladies underwear, but in actual real thing you'd probably, in the real life, you'd probably say something like website, and then you would put your website name in. So I'd be like, wow, it's youtube.com/BigC90210, man. And then when people go, yeah, what's your site? Yeah, website. Then it tells them. Again, you can use color messages on this if you really want to. So, next up is alloc server fixes. Now, these are a bunch of tweaks to the game, of which, in order to get them to work, you must first download some files from Aloc's website. And if you click on download, want to bin and release, there's a bunch of files in here that you have to copy and paste over your original 7 Days to Die files while the server's turned off. I must confess, you must have the server switched off when you copy and paste these files over. And then this will give you access to this kind of stuff. So these extra options that he's got mean that you can do stuff like you can kick players with a high ping. So a lot of the cheaters that you get on 7 Days to Die are from China. It's just fact. So for me in the UK, if I wanted to ban people from China effectively, because they'll always have a ping higher than 250, I'll always say, if you got a ping higher than 250, then get off the server. You're kicked or you're banned. There's some extra stuff that you can do with this, such as being able to see what inventory players have got. So it means as a server admin, if you suspect someone's cheating, then you can instantly look at their inventory and see what kind of things they're carrying. So if they're carrying a jar of water, they might be fine. If they're carrying 64 rocket launcher shells and a rocket launcher and a sniper rifle, and they've only been on the server for 5 minutes, then there's probably something going on. So, this brings us to the global ban list. Now, the global ban list is something that FrontRunnerTek awesomely made, and what it is, it's a collection of everybody who's running this tool can collaborate together a list of users that they banned. And this allows you to ban players, and after they've been banned from 3 separate servers which are participating in this global ban list, then they'll be banned from all of the servers in the ban list. And this has worked out as a pretty good way of discouraging people from being naughty on servers, because you might get banned from one server, you can simply go to the next. But if the idea is if you get banned from a lot of servers in one go, Yeah, you're probably not going to be a bad boy. The way that you work with this is you just put in all of your details. You have to register for it. You stick your email address and stuff in just to sign up and say that you're a willing server host, and then you can begin both retrieving a list of kicked players but submitting players that you've kicked and banned. So yeah. One more thing I'm going to talk about, which is one of the big stumbling blocks of people setting up servers and shit like that, is how do I get people in the outside world to get to my server? Well, let me show you. First off, I'm just going to move this. I'm just going to move this to one side. This and this. Now, get away, you. I'm going to give, I've drawn a little diagram here. Here it is. And this diagram is my attempt to try and clear up some of the fuzzy understanding that certain people have of the internet and servers and how stuff works. So, you have your home PC or home server, and it goes through your router, or router as I call it. And then from there, it goes onto the internet, and then other people on the internet talk to your server and play on your server. Now, at the minute, all we done was get our internal address of the server, and we got our other PC to play on the server. Now, what we actually want is people outside in the big wide world to talk to the server. So that means going through your router first. So, let me just log into my router. Your router's IP address is usually 192.168.1.1. So, when you get inside your router, of which its address is 192.168.1.1, we can press next, and we can see that this port here, 25,000 to 25066, has been forwarded to 192.168.1.10. Now, that is actually my gaming PC, which isn't what we want. We want to modify this, or we want to create this in the first place if you don't already have it. And we want to say, go to whatever the server address is. Now, earlier on, we checked what the server's IP is by typing ipconfig, and it was 192.168.1.106. So we're going to save. So now, when other people on the internet type in your external IP address, it hits the router, because your router is the person who looks after the external IP address, and it goes, hello, Mr. Router. We want to play 7 Days to Die on port 25,000. It goes, 25,000? You want to be talking to this guy here behind the scenes, which is the server. And that's how people connect to your server. So, the only other thing you need to know now is, what's my IP address? Now, when I say what's your IP address, what is your router's external IP address? So in order to do that, you go into Google and you type in, what's my IP address? And Google will bring up a thing, a result here, saying this is what your IP address is. So then you can tell that IP address to your friends, and they will be able to connect to your server. Now, what you need now is some friends. It just so happens that I have some friends at hand. Guys?
Yep.
Would anybody be able to connect to my server, please, just so I can demonstrate I'm actually live streaming this at the minute?
I'll jump on.
Cool, I'll be in the other Mumble channel if you're coming down. So, my friend here, Sean G93, because I'm on this server on my gaming PC, Sean is about to connect to the same server on his gaming PC, but he is over the internet, whereas I am locally. There he is. We can see Sean has joined the game. So for my local PC, you can see how I connected in just by going to the 192.168.blah Hello, Sean. But Sean,
Hello.
as Sean
Yep.
was connecting over the internet, Sean had to put in the external address, which brought him to my router, of which forwarded him to the address of the server. So now, if we go back to the server manager, one sec, I'm just going to get rid of this diagram. So if we go back to the server manager now, note that the server manager does minimize the tray, and you have to right click and show server manager. We can go back to the map that we were looking at before, mapping, and we can now see that Sean has joined on the map. So if we click back on players, we can see Sean G93 is in yellow and I'm in green. So there he is there. Let's go over and meet up with him. Move this over here a bit. I'm going to see you, Sean.
Cool. I'm just on the road that I spawned on.
I would be. You want to head west, dude? Head west as much as you can. So yeah, that's pretty much how you set up a multiplayer server. One other thing, of which I'll show you when I meet up with Sean, is how do you punish people? So we're gonna let Sean get his rocket launcher out and start firing rockets and making a nuisance of himself. And then I'll demonstrate you how you kick Sean from the server for being a naughty boy. Don't forget, people, if you like this video, please press like, comment, or even subscribe if you found it useful. I will be making more of these videos. Oh, here, is that you there, Sean? Oh. There he is. Making a nuisance of himself. Look at him, jumping up and down with his crossbow. He doesn't even give a shit that there's an antelope and a deer and a rabbit behind him. Trying to get stuck into a cardboard box. So yeah, so say Sean's been a bad boy and he needs to be kicked from the server. We can... Where is he? There he is. Stay still a sec. Stay still a sec, Mr. Sean. We can click on players and we can find Mr. Shawnee and... where is it? Oh, kick selected player. Kick player. And then you can give him a message as well. So you can say, kick player, you twat. And then Sean left the game. You get a message there, Sean?
Before it got kicked off, no.
No, well, you should have done. And it should have said twat. But never mind. So yes, that concludes our tutorial on how to create servers, get them up and running, and getting involved with the scene. It is very important that you set the port forwarding up in your router like we just did before. Otherwise, the internet, people in the internet will not be able to connect to your server. Cannot stress that enough. One other thing, which I cannot stress enough, is navigate to where you've got 7 Days to Die dedicated server installed. I would disconnect first from your server. Where the fuck is it again? Configuration. So I would disconnect from your server and I would also shut it down. You can tell that it's shut down. Oh, I'm just going to end the process. Ending the process is the same as shutting it down, really, but it's not a clean shutdown. So I would always recommend shutting it down before you disconnect. That was my bad there. So one thing that I would suggest is go into server config, right click, edit with Notepad, change your passwords. Do not want your passwords set to change me. Change it to something difficult, something long, and then once you've changed it in there, in the server manager, change it here as well, because obviously you need the new password to connect. One other thing, if you are setting up server admin, you need to right click in here, edit with Notepad. You need to get the Steam ID of the player who you want to add. So before, say we wanted to make Big C an admin, you would go in here, you would copy this value, and you would just uncomment this section here. Steam ID there, so that sets Big C with permission level 0. Now the way permission levels work in 7 Days to Die is that the lower the permission, the more permissions you have. And it goes from 0 to 1000. So, I'm just going to uncomment these because you need to uncomment them for them to go live. If you're wondering why it's color coded, by the way, it's because I'm using Notepad++. It's just a bit prettier than Notepad, so you can see what's going on. So what we can do is we can get Sean's ID. We can put Sean's ID in here. So Sean has permission level 1 and he's a moderator. So as you can see here, Sean has permission to kick and ban. But as I've got permission level 0, I have everything Sean has permission to do because I have everything of 0 and higher. So it means I have DM, which is debug mode, and I have kick and ban. So that is very, very briefly how permissions work. And in order for this to work, you have to save it. This pretty much speaks for itself. Blacklist is your ban list. You can put dates in here if you wanted to ban someone for a week if they were just being naughty, or a month if they were being a griefer, or you can ban them forever if they're just an asshole. And if you put whitelist on, that means only people in here can connect to the server. So publics will not be able to connect to the server if you have something in here. So I think that's just about everything. You know now how to make a server. You know how to connect to it. You know how to set it up. You know how to connect to it locally. You know how to connect to it from remotely online. You know how to administrate it. There's tons of different options here for you to get used to. And yeah, pretty much the only thing left to do now is just to play it and have fun. So, just gonna get on my YouTube, and I think that's just about it from me. If you like this video, please leave me a like, a comment, or even subscribe. I've got some more advanced tutorials coming out soon. And those advanced tutorials, hopefully, people should find them quite useful. So, from me, Big C90210 at teamseo.com and the No Blueprints blog. Shout out to FrontRunnerTek for making such an awesome tool, and see you next time.